bring in Iowa conservative talk radio host Steve Deace. Steve, thank you for your time. We're excited to talk to you for many reasons. For people who don't know you, you're outspoken Christian conservative. You're considered extremely influential in Iowa. And I think what also catches the attention is that you get a lot of credit for keeping Mitt Romney from having a victory in Iowa in 2008. What's your thought on Mitt Romney this time around?
I think Mitt Romney's played Iowa pretty smartly. The reality is the more Iowans see of Mitt Romney, the worse he does. I mean, we learned that 4 years ago. So this time he's stayed to the extreme eastern and western parts of the state where radio stations like the one I used to work at, WHO, do not have a strong presence. And he's got more of an opportunity to turn out Republican voters in those parts of the state. But I suspect that either Ron Paul or Rick Santorum will actually win the caucuses tomorrow.
Have you been as outspoken against Mitt Romney this time around as you were in 2008?
Well, I'd have to be pretty outspoken to be more outspoken than I was a few years ago.
Or equal to the fire that you brought his way in 2008.
I don't think I have been, mainly because a lot of the Iowans that I can reach are pretty educated on who Mitt Romney is. I mean, if you look at his poll numbers, I mean, he pretty much gets the same 18 to 25% in every poll for 5 years, and that's what I like to call the Republican ruling class. I mean, that's just the make the trains run on time. We don't care what he stands for. If he's self-financed, if he's a corporate robber baron, that's the candidate we rally behind, and that's really the percentage of the Republican Party that exists, and that's really Mitt Romney's vote. And so there's really not a lot of conservative support for Mitt Romney. So I kind of thought it was a waste of my time to target a guy that a lot of conservatives have already determined they don't want to have as a nominee anyway.
So those that you speak with who describe themselves as very conservative, who are they giving their support to? Is it Rick Santorum? Is this surge the right time, the right momentum when it's needed most?
What helped Rick Santorum is he got the most coveted endorsement in Iowa, and that is the Family Leader, which is the most prominent Christian pro-family group in the state. And that's really all that's changed for him. 2 weeks ago, he was in single digits. 2 weeks ago, he got that endorsement. What's happened since then? That endorsement destabilized, not getting it, destabilized Michelle Bachmann's campaign. It also really hindered any potential progress Rick Perry was going to make. And I think you've seen voters leave those two candidates and gravitate towards Rick Santorum with the support of the Family Leader. And he is surging at the right time because, I mean, we heard earlier on your program, Rick Perry trying to vet him a little bit, but there's not enough time for a flavor of the month mentality with Rick Santorum with the vote tomorrow. So I suspect he will win or finish a very good, solid second place.
And what about Michelle Bachmann?
I think Michelle Bachmann is sadly going to have the worst finish any winner of the Iowa straw poll has ever had. I think she will finish well into the single digits. And her campaign has probably had, sadly, for someone who's such a principled conservative, but she's really had about the worst 2 weeks you could possibly have in the Iowa caucuses. So if she's such a principled conservative, why aren't the conservatives there supporting her? She's certainly spent enough time there. And as you point out, most of your listeners, as you say, are educated and they know Mitt Romney's viewpoint. So certainly they would know Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann. Why aren't they sticking with her? I think Michelle Bachmann opened the door for voters' doubts about voting for, first of all, a sitting congressperson for president, something that hasn't been done since Garfield in the 19th century, and then also voting for a woman, something that's never been done. And I think Hillary Clinton ran into this 4 years ago, and she opened up these doubts by, frankly, having an ineffective campaign. Her campaign imploded after the straw poll. It's never really recovered. And I think voters have determined that it's not just enough to be principled on the issues, but can you show you can actually run a government at the same time?
Real quick, though, if Mitt Romney pulls out a victory tomorrow, what does that say to you, to the very conservative in that state who certainly don't want to see him win?
I think it would greatly help Mitt Romney's chances of winning the nomination, but ultimately this is going to be decided in South Carolina and Florida. No Republicans ever won the nomination without winning the South Carolina primary, and that's probably what's going to cinch it, if not Florida. So those are really the two battleground states.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. We greatly appreciate it. Happy New Year, Steve.
Thank you.